Okay, yeah, that started the. I just started
Yep.
the recording.
It's up, Cup. I can post the recording afterward. Thank you so much, Cup Ajanisai.
All right. Let's start talking about the literature review in electrical power engineering. Basically, the basic methodology of doing literature review is, first of all, you have to search for the relevant documents. The source that we can use to search the documents, which I would recommend, is the IEEE Explorer. I could show you. Do you see? Do you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we start with the IEEE Explorer. And you can click on it. This is the starting site or starting page of the IEEE Explorer. Be careful, yeah. If you access the IEEE Explorer on your own internet from your home, you will not be allowed to access the full right to every documents, yeah. But if you access the website through the internet of KMUTNB, yeah, you will get the full access, which is already purchased by the university. Yeah, that means if you would like to access IEEE Explorer from your home, you have to do what we call VPN access. If you have the ICIT account, yeah, you can consult the website how to access the VPN in order to go through the KMUTNB connections to access IEEE Explorer. Yeah. If you have activated the ICIT account, you could do that. Yeah, please check whether you have the ICIT account activated already. Yeah, and the procedure how to do it, or the instruction how to do it, you can visit the computer center website. Okay, let me show you how to use IEEE Explorer for searching papers or literature relevant to electrical power engineering. Basically, for electrical power engineering, there are a list of society which are the group look at the community. IEEE is a big organization. The name implies already, Institute of Electrical Engineering. Yeah. So this is the page showing all of the societies in the big umbrella of IEEE. There are a large number of societies which are specialized for certain topics. Yeah. For example, yeah, you can check here Aerospace and Electronic System Society is one group of the people. Related to electrical power engineering, you may have to look into Industrial Electronic Society, Industry Application Society, is these two. Yeah. The other two would be Power Electronic Society, Power and Energy Society. These are four major societies which are related to electrical power engineering. For the other students who are related to other society, you can look into this list. There are the societies which are related to you. As an additional society which could be related to electrical power engineering would be Vehicular Technology Society, which is related to electric vehicles, electrical drive system, batteries, and so on. All right, then let us go back to the major page of the IEEE Explorer. So you can do the search by yourself, but I can give you an example how to explore if you have a one related topic. For example, if I search for power system control, okay? So we just type in power system control. So then there will be a lot of list of the papers, yeah, that you have the keyword, but you have to use by your own judgment whether the title of the paper here is actually related to your interest or not. One thing that you can categorize the level of the paper. Basically, you can there are two major categories of the paper. The first one is conference paper, and the second one is the journal paper. Yeah. Basically, conference paper, we pass the review process roughly, not so roughly. Yeah? But for journal paper, the review process is quite a bit intense, and the quality of the paper is relatively higher than the conference paper. But of course, depending on the topic, yeah, sometimes it is not always that the conference paper is bad. Yeah, no, sometimes you need to read some conference paper because in some conference paper there are details of, let's say, simple explanation or simple implementation that you can understand easily. On the journal paper, sometimes due to the limitation of the pages for the journal, yeah, the authors have to write it very condensedly, very. They have to condense the content in the limited number of pages. So sometimes in many places you will see some words or some keywords without deep explanation, because people assume that you have to understand those words already as the let's say professionals in the field for a long time. But so what I would like to recommend in the first place, sometimes you could start with the conference paper, which are normally easier to read because of many terms are well explained, or the author have the more liberty or more pages to liberate or to elaborate the details for some technical terms. Yeah. So.
Daniel,
Yeah.
did you mind if I say something, because just in case the students would like to check out topics in computer science and computer engineering, right? this is like kind of the inverse. For one to go into a computer, like if you want to check out techniques from machine learning or like AI techniques or IoT techniques that you want to apply for your application in EPE, in that case, you want to first check out top conferences. Those are much, much better than journals. So it's the inverse for computer related field. Just want to let you guys all know, because the literature survey is pretty flexible in the sense that sometimes like you need to somehow know the venues, and that's we understand that these are really really hard to like, okay, how do I know the venues? Definitely follow what we say, and also check with your advisor. Those are typically one of the best guidelines that you can follow for sure, right? And definitely for the EP and CSE students, please listen to what Ajanisai said right now. It's really relevant. Thank you so much, Ka.
All right, let us go through the details again. For each society, for example, Industrial Electronic Society, Industrial Application Society, Power Electronic Society, or Power and Energy Society. There we have a so-called major journal for each society, but they call it transaction. This is special, let's say, special name for the journal or for IEEE to publish journals. They use this keyword transaction. In other fields, the publication on the same level, they will call it normally journal of something, or depending on the style. But for IEEE, they call it transaction. But a generic term for the paper on this level, we call it journal. But to be unique, IEEE use this term as a standard for naming their journals. This is called transaction. So if you look at here as an example, you have publication title. You can see you have IEEE transaction on power electronics, transaction on power system, IEEE transaction on industrial electronics, IEEE transaction on industrial applications. You can see how relevant it is. When you search something search a word in the field of electrical power engineering, do you see that the societies which I have mentioned before are mostly related to the term? But of course, there could be some journal which have the link. We have the link to the terms. So there is also transactions on power delivery, which is a transaction in the umbrella of power and energy society. Some societies could have more than one journals. You can check for each society how many journals they have in their umbrella. You can see all of the journals which are related here to the term that you have searched. All right. But of course, depending on the technique, sometimes if you are interested to see the overview of the topic that you would like to do, you for example, if I would like to have the overview on electrical drive system, so maybe it is a good idea to start with the term review. Because there could be some papers talking about the, let's say, or summarizing the content of each topics, and The keyword is review. Yeah? For example, for this paper that I have searched, a technology review paper for drives used in electric vehicle, hybrid electric vehicles like this. Yeah? So you can click on it. Yeah, you see that the paper which has the intention to do the review. Yeah, they are not showing their progress in research work by their own, but they will read all of the existing presented works in the society and or in the world. Yeah, let's say in the whole world globally, and they try to summarize or categorize the things so that you can have the overview picture for the whole technology. Yeah? Of course, the quality of the review paper depends. Some people have done the rough study for doing the review paper. You can see from the number of the papers that they have read. Yeah, and the more the better. Yeah, and you will see by yourself that whether the author has presented sufficient details on the topic or not. If you look at this paper, since this paper is a conference paper, you can see that the content is not so condensed. Yeah? And the paper is relatively short. But for beginners, sometimes it is useful. Starting with the high quality journals sometimes takes you quite a long time for understanding some basic things. Yeah? Sometimes you could start first with the conference paper. So let us see. Sometimes you will not reach the thing that you would like to search. We have started with the term review electrical drives, but you can see only one paper related to review paper. Yeah. The others are just only some papers which are related to electrical drives term. Yeah. Here, for example, modeling and hardware in the loop system realization of electrical machines drives are reviewed. If you look at this, yeah, sometimes you will see it contains all of the terms that you would like to search, but in overall, you are not interested in the hardware in the loop system, so you can skip it quickly. As you can see, review on system parameters in variable speed, AC induction machine drives. Is this kind of review, but not really the thing that you would like to look into details. The thing that you are not interested in. Yeah. Yeah, this one could be interesting. There is a term survey. Survey is quite good for having the overall picture on the technology. All right. In order to give you some examples, is anyone on the floor would like to search for something or give me the idea what you are interested in so that I can show you the example of how to search the paper in the field. Let's say be checking one people in the field of electrical power engineering. Any topic? Just name one so I can search for you. No? So then I suggest myself, I would like to search something about battery management system. So I would like to look into the details of the implementation of battery management system. I would try first battery management system. Yeah, you can see. So there are a lot of things. Yeah, scalable and decentralized management system for parallel operation multiple battery packs. So if you click on it, you can see that it is the conference paper. Yeah. If you would like to look into the only journals, you can do some filter. For example, if you would like to scope down just only in journals, yeah, you can click on journals so that you can have less paper to be listed down. So time so that we can get the recent one. Let's say we check the paper 10 years in the past, so we can apply the filter. So still have some conference paper. Okay, and if you check the journal here, so you will see this is one paper in proceeding of IEEE, IEEE Latin America transaction, IEEE transaction on smart grid and so on. Yeah. Let's click one. If you have the full access of IEEE, you will get the PDF file directly here. You can download it. One thing that I would recommend when you are reading literatures, let's say there are so many papers that you have read and you would like to keep thread or keep overview understanding of our papers together. Yeah, I would recommend you to jot down or to note down on the top of the paper. This is a bit personal technique, or maybe you can apply later on. But so many people use this. I would, if I have, normally I will print it out and I will note down after I have read the papers about what is the major message of this paper and what is the most interesting part of this paper for you. For example, just write down here after I have read it, I could write something like this. Yes, good overview for implementation of BMS only for stationary application. That means, for example, if you see that this paper have the VMS for stationary application without automotive application, and you can see good for beginner, but not for advanced level. For example, something like this, or if I see that they mention about spatial technique or something, yeah, spatial technique that I have, that I would like to pin down later on, that this paper have to be read if you talk about this topic. Yeah, spatial part of, for example, cooling system. This is the thing that you should write down, yeah, as a short summary, as a bookmark for you, so that you grasp the idea of the content of this paper, or you can even recommend, or you can pass further this paper for some people, yeah, so that they can save some time when they are reading this paper. You can write a summary of the essentials of the paper like this. Not just only for the other people, but for yourself as well, because after a quite time, let's say quite a long time, you will forget the major contents of each paper, because you have read a lot of papers, and after a long time you will forget it definitely. Yeah? So it is a good idea, a good technique. Try to summarize the content of the paper in short paragraph like this. Not to be so much, yeah, but such a thing is always useful, yeah, for you. And by the way, when you read papers, yeah, normally you have to relate somehow to this paper, to the catalog that you can use it later on. My personal technique is to remember the name of the first author and use it as the index. For example, yeah, this paper may have a lot of authors, but I would remember this member in my mind as Lauder, for example, and the year that they published, 2014. Yeah, for example, I would remember is that Lauder in 2014. And if this author has the other paper in the same year, I could write down here for my note, Lauder in 2014, number 1. If this author has another paper on the same year and you read it, you may put it as Lauder in 2014, number 2, and so on. Yeah? So that it works, at least in my case, yeah? Because to remember the whole name, sometimes you cannot remember the whole name like this. Yeah? Battery energy storage system and battery management system for grid scale applications. You can imagine that when you are working on the same field, all the papers are having the same terms on the title, and they just make you confused. You can differentiate the paper more clearly by having the name of the authors as a reference point. This is my personal technique, or maybe it could be the widely used technique, but I find it possible that there could be another techniques which could be recommended by the other lecturers. Yeah, but at least it works in my case by having this. And when storing the papers, the PDF file, in your library or in your personal folder, I would like to recommend you to name the paper with the name of the authors like this. For example, in a short version, you may have something like this: louder 2014 number 1, like this. Having the full name sometimes does not help. Does not help. Or if you prefer to have the full name attached together in the file name, you can copy the whole name here and paste it here. But sometimes in certain system, there could be problem if you have too long file name. Normally they could not have, but they should not have any problem. But in some cases, too long file name is not acceptable for certain program or certain access. This is my personal experience. Having too long file name sometimes causes problem. So my personal technique, I would store the file with the name of the author, the year that it was published, and the reference number 1, number 2, whatever. And normally you will be familiar with the name, and you will be able to recall some memory outside the paper by remembering the author's name. And normally I will use the first author as a reference point. That's one good thing. You can see, we just see together here. I have mentioned about transaction. There's proceeding of IEEE. Proceeding is a kind of the publication for the whole society, IEEE. It's just like a magazine or publication which is released on a certain period, but on the main umbrella of IEEE. And to publish the paper in the proceeding of IEEE, it is good for you sometimes to look at proceeding of IEEE, because for such publication, it will give you quite a good overview, because it is written for the whole society. And for the whole society, you can see that a lot of people are electrical engineers, but not deep into the details of the topic. So sometimes the paper on the proceeding of IEEE will give you a quite good overview and good introduction to the certain technologies. So I would recommend, if you see the paper on your topic in the proceeding of IEEE, you should download it and have a look on it. It could give you a quite good introduction for the topic. And another keyword, state of the art, is also good for doing the review. But again, you have to look by yourself, whether the topic is related to your interest or not. Look at this, Maybe you are lucky enough to have the paper which is related to your interest so clearly like this: the state of the art of electric and hybrid vehicles, something like this. So it is published in the proceeding of the IEEE. So let us have a look. So All right, you can see now. What I would like to show you, you see the reference the number of the references. In such a review paper, you will see a lot of papers read by the authors, and the authors have tried to summarize everything and give you the summary of the content. So I think these are all of the techniques of searching the literature in the field of electrical and power engineering. Is there any question or discussion? We have Dr. Sumane. Yeah, please.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
To determine this paper is good or not, so the number of citation, is it relevant to the determination of good paper or not?
It is one of the key indicators, but sometimes not, because a lot of cited paper maybe it is linked to the new topic, yeah, that people have not, let's say, it is an indirect indicator. It is an indirect indicator, but it is not definitely the indicator that shows that the paper have the high quality, because there are so many papers which have high quality, yeah, but since the topic is not related to let's say the large society, so the other people who are doing the same work and cite the paper will be less. For example, I can give you an example. If one person working on the field of mining, and the paper published in the mining society is just only, let's say, 100 papers per year. Yeah. You publish one paper, you will get the citation number maybe per year, assuming that all of the paper in the field will cite your paper in that year. Yeah? You will get the citation only 99 papers citing your paper. But in the field of, let's say, and I'm not sure, let's say, just take, for example, nowadays the hot topic would be, for example, battery management system, yeah, or batteries. The field, this field is very big, yeah, or yeah, even bigger in, for example, power electronics. Just take the power electronics as an example. In the field of power electronics, people working in the field may be 100,000. And there are papers published on this topic, maybe 10,000 pieces per year. Yeah, you can see them. Even just 10% of the paper will cite your paper. It will be already 1,000. Yeah. So I don't want to have the citation number as the illusion to say that the paper is better than the others by looking into the citation only. Of course, the citation number could give you the idea that these papers have been read by a lot of people, and so many people find this paper good for being used as a reference. Yeah, that's that. That is the message of the citation number. But to say that the number of citation of this paper, especially on the different field, you cannot say that one paper which has the citation number of 20 and the citation number of the other paper which has the citation number of 1,000 would have the same impact, or would have a different impacts on the quality of the papers. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes, I get your point.
Yeah, But definitely, yeah, the number of citations will give you the direct information that, okay, so many people have found this paper good enough for being used as their reference. Yeah. And one illusion or one deception in the framework of citation and reference. Nowadays, there are also pressure for the people to cite each other, yeah? Because in the old days, people just count how many papers they have published, yeah. But today's, yeah, people are counting also the numbers of the citation, or how many times that their papers have been cited. And there are so many movements from behind, yeah, from many authors to increase their citation number. Yeah. By, let's say, persuading their friends, colleagues to cite, let's say, to do the mutual citation sometimes. Yeah. So I would say it is a kind of indicator, but not the definitive indicator that we could rely on. Yeah. And on the other hand, the people who are publishing papers have some also pressure or some incentive to cite so many papers, so in order to make their paper looks good. Yeah. Because if you have just only 2 references at the end of your paper, it is not good. Sometimes you have to put more papers just to increase the number of the references in your work. Yeah. So some papers are really cited just to have the, let's say, correct keyword for the other papers, but not really used as the real reference for the other papers. There are deception and illusion also in this field of putting references and counting the citation numbers. Of course, it is better than having nothing. Yeah, at least have the citation number as a reference point or reference indicator. It is good to have that, but there are some, let's say, not so meaningful numbers of citation hidden behind in the overall number of the citation. All right. Further questions? Otherwise, we have Professor Suramed waiting for the next presentation on the literature review in the field of communication engineering.
Professor?
Yeah, please.
Professor, should we choose the paper from the recent times, like published in the last 10 years or 5 years, or can we choose from the earlier times as well, like from the 90s? But they are good papers.
Depends. Depends. If you are looking for the state of the art, yeah, you have to search only the recent ones. Let's say 5 years before from now. Yeah. But if you sometimes you need to read back because you would like to trace back, the technique is that if you read the new, let's say, the papers in the recent 5 years, sometimes there are some details that they reference back to the older papers. Sometimes you have to trace back like following the track or following the trail back to the old papers. I would say sometimes it is very good to go back to the old papers so that you can understand the chain of the thought or the chain of the development on the path. You can understand better what was the difficulties at the old days, why it is not possible to implement the current technologies. What are the challenges in the past so that you can answer better, and you will answer the better. You can answer the answers. You can answer to the questions better when you discuss with your colleagues. Why would you not repeat some mistakes which have been done before by the past works, or some design ideas which have been proven already in the old days that they are not working, but it could come up in the discussion round on your among your colleagues. So sometimes you have to trace back to old papers to get the ideas or the root of the development. So I cannot do the let's say overall statement to say that old papers is always bad. Yeah, but for the first idea, yeah, you have to search back, let's say 5 years should be too short, let's say 10 years, let's say, starting with the papers from now, trace back 10 years and try to look into the paper whether they use reference older than that. And if you are clear enough with the contents presented in the paper, it's fine. But sometimes you need to go back to the older papers in order to understand some details which are not described or explained in the new or in the recent papers. Did I answer your question?
Yes, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah. Further questions, please. Otherwise, I think it's good time now. I can transfer the microphone to Ajahn Suramet. Ajahn Suramet, are you there?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So then we switch the microphone to Ajahn Suramet. Yeah, please.
So good morning, everyone. And so because this is the we are keeping learning about teaching you as well. So if there are some glitches about the organization, I would like to say sorry for that. And so as so Professor Nisai has given some great overview about doing literature review, and so he mentioned that I'm going to talk about doing literature review for the communications engineering. So however, I would say, so it's the general one. So if the other people from other areas would be interested, so you are welcome to listen, because I think that I'm going to present the literature review in the other perspective. So which is the question about how do you define the so-called research gaps. We will talk about it later, what is it is actually the research gaps. So, and the research, finding the research gaps is the main reason that we do a literature review. Yeah, so it's always good to know why do we do something. Yeah, what is the sense behind doing something before we spend some of the efforts and our time, which is a valuable asset of you, so you cannot take the time back. All right, so the subject itself is called research methodology. So, but your degree is about engineering, yeah? So not every engineers will become researchers. And so you, maybe for some of you, this would be the only one time that you will ever do research, find something in the research world and write a paper. So this is an obligation or a requirement that you have to fulfill before you graduate. And if it would be the only one time, I hope that you can take the most out of it. Yeah. So let's start a little bit. So we can make it a little bit more casual. If you have some questions, please feel free to interrupt, or if I'm too fast, too slow, just let me know. Yeah. So, all right. Okay. Yeah, you possibly have heard about the abbreviation R&D, yeah, which is an abbreviation for research and development. So, and there are two words in that abbreviation. So the first one is research and the other one is the development. So if you would like to provide a new product portfolio of your company, this is a product development. So you possibly have heard something about that. So research is one step further. So if you provide the new product or a product which is actually not new, so how to fight with the other or how to compete with the other company. So you're possibly ending up offering lower price, yeah, for the same product. That could be some development, yeah. But if you go one step further, so you have to, let's say, dig deeper how to make your product better, and that involves the term research pretty much. And you can possibly have heard about old economy, new economy, for example. So in not so developed countries, so you have heard about the problem of stacking in the middle income trap, which means that actually the middle developed country, they can also offer products, but their products doesn't have high value added to that. Yeah, so it means that they have the, if you like, this is the magic of science that you put into a product so that you can have more value added. For example, if you look into a mobile phone or an EV car, so you see behind the scenes there are a lot of theory hidden behind, yeah, how you can make things better. And to make things better, in especially in industrial research, you are doing things better little by little, but it should be very meaningful. Let's say if a knowledge in one area is started like this, yeah, so you see knowledge in the area of, I don't know, battery technology, yeah. So, and then after some years, somebody has added up some of the knowledge about the EV or the battery for EV cars, yeah. So you have the core, which is this one, and then you have some addition. So you have this one. So this is the addition. And over the years, you can imagine that this is growing up, yeah, like a living organism. So it's becoming more and more complicated and so on. So for sure, there are people who are trying to make this kind of nucleus better or better understanding of the core, yeah, which actually we are not very much involved in that. So, but it's the task of the physicists or the Nobel Prize scientists to do that. But I'm sure that most of you would like to be engineers, right? So, okay, and your job is like, so, and this is the what Professor Nisai told you, and this is the state of the art, which is the current status of that technology that you are focusing on, and your job is to do some addition of the state of the art. For example, there's a picture, I don't know where this come from, so that I cannot cite it, but your job is this. Yeah, your job is to make the state of the art a little bit better, yeah, just a little bit. So it's like, so if you are making an EV car, it doesn't mean that you have to reinvent the entire EV car, but maybe you can propose some new power regulation strategy in order to make your EV car runs longer. And there are many ways to do that. You can make the battery more efficient, a larger storage, but it comes with the cost of the weight, yeah, which at the same time consume your energy, yeah. So you have to find the best balance. So that is one way that you want to make the battery better. And the other way around, you can think about how you can make the EV car consume less electrical energy, even though it's the same battery size, you can run it for longer range. Yeah, if you get what I mean. So, okay, and the last one that I would like to talk about. So many companies now, especially in Thailand, and so this is the hype everywhere in the world, and this is the word of innovation. So there is a definition, so you can search for that. I cannot cite the guy, but there is some guy who has mentioned about innovation in this way. So, and I find that this is quite a good interpretation of innovation. And innovation in their understanding is a new, yeah, so innovation, you always think about new, yeah. So, but it's a new, not a new product, a new technology, but it's a new match. It's the new match of problems and solutions. So why is this definition so good? Because so it's a new, because it is a new match. Yeah, it's a new match. It's, what does it mean? It means that it can be a new problem. So new problem and old solutions. Yeah. So maybe there are some ideas in another area which could be applied to the other area to solve the new problems that are arising. Yeah, this is also innovation. Or you can have old problems but new solutions. Okay, this is also innovation. Like you have a problem which is existing for a long time, but you have some new solutions which are providing more efficient way of solving that old problems. This is also an innovation, and for sure it can be new problems and new solutions. Yeah. And why do we have new problems? Because we are, as humankind, we are never enough, right? So, and the situation always changes, the way we live, the way, so look at the generation before you, yeah, the generation of your parents, they have different challenges than in your time. So we have new problems, and you also, you can have old solutions to solve that, or you can have new solutions. But what is really not an innovation is old problems and old solutions. Yeah. Therefore, when you do a literature review or you are trying to do research, so old problems solved with old solutions. So this is definitely not an innovation. So an innovation must be a new match, whether it is new problem or solution or things like that. So therefore, when you do literature review, yeah, it's never a goal to deliver all problems which can be solved with all solutions, like reinventing the wheel or something like that. So it's not the case. Yeah, that's why we do research. So if you get my point, yeah. So, and research is pretty much made on top of the product development, and possibly it is mostly done in well-developed country where almost everything is well saturated, and the only way to make your product or to make your solution better is to do research, yeah, dig deeper in the scientific areas in order to find some new thing. Okay, so any questions so far? So you hear me? I hope so. Yeah. So I don't get any acoustic feedback, but yeah. So anyone can give a feedback. So not that I'm talking alone. Anyone?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. You never know, yeah. So it's online class. All right. So I go a little bit slow so that you can capture the main idea of why you do the research, right? So then, after you are sure why you are doing a research, and you are sure that you are doing something new, make innovative approach to solve the problems. So then you have to ask yourself about the so-called pain points, yeah. And yeah, where does it hurt? Yeah, so the pain points. Yeah, where does it hurt in that kind of problem? So as an example, so you could, like for the battery driven cars, it is for sure that the pain points is that you would like to have the shortest charging time, whereas you need the longest range, for example. That is a pain point, yeah. And that is why EV car is not easily can like replace the old combustion engine cars, something like that. Or in communications technology, it would be like if you would like to have high data rate in order to like play VR games with your colleagues, yeah, so it needs high data rate. And the pain point is that if you have high data rate, so your ranges cannot be so far. So if you need high data rate, you have to put many mobile base stations. So if you look around, so you see a lot of base stations around you. And those are the challenges that people are still facing nowadays. And to do research is to squeeze everything out of the nature, or if you are from software engineering, so you squeeze everything out of the mathematics or the possibility to reach your goal with the minimal resources. Yeah, that is the way that you do the research. And this is something that you have to ask yourself at the beginning. So for whatever topic you have chosen for your research methodology project, so I would say you should choose the one that you think is of your interest, because you will have to live with that at least for a semester. So, and it's even better if it would be related to your master thesis afterwards. So because if you have the reason why you do this, so you have the patience to stick with it, even though it sounds difficult, it takes a lot of time to understand that. But if it is something you are interested, so you have the energy to stick with it. Yeah. So, and what's the problem? So if you find some problem that you would like to solve, so ask yourself, what's the pain point, what's the problem, and where is the reason, what is the reason or the root causes of those problems. Yeah. So the problems and its root cause. Yeah. Just so you try to be going directly to attack the pain points. Yeah. This is the first thought. Okay. And so ask yourself why we need new solutions. As I already said before, if you can solve that problem with old solutions, so don't bother do any research at all. Okay. So for example, the pain points. Yeah, I picked some of them. I don't pick all of them. So let's say you have an expensive equipment. Yeah. What is an example for this? So if you think about a country which is not so rich, but what are the expensive equipment that you normally always need It's like medical equipment, yeah. So if you are able to make medical equipment, whatever it is, should it be ultrasound device or CT scan or something like that, if you could make it cheaper, so what would happen? What happened is that you could send this to the doctors in the rural area. So rich countries never understand that, but middle income countries or not very well developed country will still need a lot of medical equipment. And there was recently some devices that you can stick with your mobile phone, and then you can use it as ultrasound imaging device. Yeah, so that is for real, and this is quite groundbreaking because like everybody has mobile phone. You have to stick that device into the mobile phone, and then you can scan the patients, what do they have, and the doctors can make a better analysis. Yeah. Okay, that is one example. Another example would be cost reduction. Sometimes it's still the motivation for the research, yeah, as I already mentioned. So in communications engineering, if some of you study communications engineering or relatives, so you will listen to this, you will hear this kind of question. Probably everyone in communications engineering is like your relative called you and said that, so nearby our home, somebody has set up an antenna and I'm having a headache. It is because of the nearby mobile tower. Is it the reason? Should we sue them or things like that? Yeah. And if this is the pain point, so normally people just try to like records the headaches that they get. This is one reason, but or one way to try to pinpoint whether the problem is really there. Yeah? But the other way to pinpoint whether it is the main reason is to verify and quantify the amount of electromagnetic energy in that area. And by doing so, you need to go there with your measurement equipment. That is also a research. Yeah, research is sometimes like disclosing the truth which is hidden and you don't know. And we as scientists, we normally do not discuss based on feelings or anything that you think it is there, but you cannot quantify or verify which whether it is already there or not. Yeah. So if you go in the area where people are explaining they have headaches because of the 5G signals and so on, yeah, there you can make a survey and do research. And if you have a relation between people having headaches, and if you measure the signal power over there, and there is like excessive power, electromagnetic power, so you can relate them to each other, and that might be the reason why people have headaches. Yeah. So okay, I just take those two examples, but if you want some more, or if you have questions, so you can stop me and ask. Yeah. Okay, so I can proceed. All right. So long preface or something like that. Now we are coming to the real thing, which is the literature review. Yeah. So, and in another point of view of Professor Nisai, I'm telling you now a basic principle, and like we say to converge with the literature review. Yeah. So first of all, you have to be sure So first of all, you know what is actually your problem, yeah? And the problem doesn't have the solution yet, right? And so what you are searching for first in the literature review is, and it is also the reason why you do literature review, is that whether another people already have the same problem and the same pain points, yeah? If they have the same pain points and they have already solved it, so nothing should be done. If it is solved for people in South Africa, but it's not yet for people in Asia, which has different environment. So there are some problem that should be solved by you, for example. Okay, so by doing literature review, you are seeking for people who think about the same problem like you do, yeah. Okay, and this is already mentioned by Professor Nisai. It's a good way to start doing literature is to read the newest review papers. It's like you are looking around, all around the world, who is doing, so you know, for reading review paper, you know a lot of things, you know what is being done at the moment and who, what and who, yeah. It's also important to know what have been done. And the other one is who did that. Okay, so right, and the next one to find out from reading the paper is how did they solve it, yeah. So what's the process of solving that kind of pain point? Okay, and then we come to our thing, yeah. So when you read literature review, it's not your thing, right? So now you come to your own pain point, yeah. So if you look around and read the review papers, knowing a little bit what people have been doing in the past, so now it's time to start asking yourself, so it is good enough for your scenario, yeah. And I mean, so if you start being a researcher, when you start being a PhD student, for example, I know not everybody of you would like to do PhD. So, but it is one of the most time to get depressed, yeah. Like, okay, you have quite a great idea and you think that, oh, I'm going to do this research and present to the outside world. And when you read the paper reviews, or you will come up with the feeling that, oh no, somebody has done that already, yeah. So you can get depressed as another people have done this already. So, and people from the richer country also never understand this, yeah. They have the best equipment, they have the best software and things like that. And this is even more challenging for people from not so developed country. So you have to solve quite a challenging problem also with a limited resources, yeah. So that is also one reason to do research or finding something in the literature review. Even though you can solve the same problem, but you can solve it in a more simpler way and save time, save money, save another resources. You can also present it because there are also people like around the world waiting for your cheaper solutions. Okay. All right. The other thing is that when you start realizing your problem, so it's like in this case, so you are thinking about your problem and it's like so my problem, like you think it cannot be solved. with published methods. Okay, so if you end up in this situation, is it a good news or is it a bad news? I say it is both, yeah? So if your problem cannot be solved with some of the published methods, so it is a good news in a sense that if you can solve this, you end up presenting quite a new solution or quite a new research. Yeah, nobody has done it before or never thought about it that way before. So it is a good news. A bad news is that nobody else has like paved the way for you so that you know a little bit, I have to do it a little bit this way and make things a little better. Yeah. So you are a pioneer in that case. And whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter that much. It's like it's worth you try. Yeah, maybe you find 10 papers out of 10 years, which is related directly to what you are thinking about. Yeah. Yeah. As I said, it is a good news and a bad news in one. Yeah. So, but if it would be another way around, so you are clear about your problem statement, but you find, oh, there are thousands of people who have already solved it this way and that way. So that is a good news and a bad news in one as well, because you know pretty much how the people have done that. But the bad news is that you have to really propose something new, yeah, or a new combination of techniques that help you to be like a pioneer on your own. Yeah, you, like as I said, so state of the art is this, state of the art, and this is your choice, and this is your work. Yeah, you just make this. Yeah, this is state of the art, and you have to find this. Yeah, and yeah, in the first situation, it's like you state of the art is so little, so you can contribute to make state of the art. Okay, so and it is related to the next point. Sometimes, and be sure that you should not find anything which is be able to solve your problem instantly, because unless you don't have to do it. Yeah, sometimes you have a problem that you cannot solve using existing techniques, but if you can combine techniques together. So this is another point of reading a paper. Maybe one paper is not related directly to your work, but some of their techniques are interesting and can be used in some part of your work. Yeah, that is also quite interesting. So you can combine. Yeah, so this is also important for literature review. Don't hope for a paper that solves all of your problems. In another way, try to find some papers which are good for some part of your problems. Yeah, so a combination is also quite an important point. Yeah, so you would like to offer some new things or some more features in your product. Yeah, the last thing, and this is the gap, this is the research gap. So this is why you should study this subject. So you do literature review not because you want to be someone who say, okay, I have read 1,000 IEEE papers, now I'm a wise man or something like that. It's nice, yeah, but if you know something but you do not try to combine them to propose a new solution, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, so after you have looked around, after you have done all the literature reviews and pinpoint your problems, Now it's the time, it's the final question to ask yourself, can you do a little better? And as I said, in some, yeah, not in all, for God's sake, not in all aspects, in some aspects, yeah. So and focus on that aspect, whether it could be lower price, whether it could be more simple production, or so if you are SSE people, you know that there are different ways to write a set of codes. Yeah, you can solve one problem by writing 1,000 lines of codes, or you could do it with 20 lines, which is much more elegant. Yeah, so simplicity is a merit. Yeah, better price is a merit. Simplicity is also a merit. Or same price, same procedure, but better performance. That is also, yeah, actually performance efficiency is pretty much the same thing. Yeah, so for example, or if you are from production engineering, you are talking about yields. Yields means you spend the same amount of energy, you spend the same efforts, but you get more products, yeah, at less time if possible. Okay, so, or in some case, it's also related to better work conditions for your employee, or it is better for the environment. Yeah, your production process can be better for the environment, less CO2 emission, or so on. Yeah, focus on what aspect that you would like to make better. Okay, so I stress it again, some aspect. Yeah, if you pick a topic in research methodology, ask yourself what aspect you want to do better. Not all aspects. Yeah, not like making another Tesla car or something like that. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. All right. Okay, so you know, it was like the reason I tried to convince you why you should do the literature review. Yeah, it's not just for fun. It's not just for being a wise man. Yeah, it's just to try to solve a specific problem, and you have to know that problem as good as you can. Yeah, unless you will get lost in literature review. Okay, I don't know whether you have been experiencing this kind of thing. Like in the past, you don't have the dictionary, which is in an electronic form. Yeah, you have a dictionary as a book, and you are trying to find a meaning of some word. Yeah, and you ended up like finding another word or reading about another word that actually you actually did not interested in. Yeah, you get distraction from your actual goal. Yeah, by doing literature review, so never lose the sight of your goal, right? So if this is your research goal, yeah, and this is you, yeah, and you are swimming in the ocean. Yeah, and your research goal is an island, which can save you. You can like live there, build a house or something like that. You are here. Yeah? You are somewhere in the middle of the ocean. I call it the ocean of papers. Okay. If you lose your sight on your goal, yeah, you will end up swimming there, and never reach your goal. Yeah. So whenever you do a literature review, always have the goal at the back of your head. Yeah. Don't read the paper for the sake of reading it. Yeah. Ask yourself why you read this paper. And another thing that many students do And it's not well liked by professors. Like, you read the papers in order to put it in your literature review report. Yeah, like I read this and this and this, and at the end of the day, your supervisor will ask you, for what have you read that? Yeah, even though you have reported that in your work, but it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Okay. So then, okay. Yeah, have your goal and yeah, try to avoid distraction. And the next challenge that many young researchers find at the beginning of their career is to use the right keywords. Yeah. So yeah, Google is super powerful. So, you know, in the past, in my generation, sometimes you have to search in the library database and you search for building a new and a better battery, for example. Yeah. You know what happened at that time? So you have to order the paper. It comes 3 weeks later as a real paper, yeah, in an envelope. You get that paper, you read it, and it's not relevant to your work at all. Yeah, so that is the difficulty of the researchers in the past. Yeah, so you have such a powerful tool, which is Google and or whatever search engine, but the challenge you have is that you should use the right keyword. Yeah, okay, and that is not so simple. So the first thing that you have to do by doing literature review is that how is it actually called technically? Yeah, so they have like technical jargons for one word, like a better battery, for example. A better battery is like a common understanding. Yeah, everybody can understand that, but if you search in literature review, maybe you don't find the right paper. So the first thing that you have to be sure of is how is it actually called. For example, if in my area, if you would like to make a smartwatch, yeah, a smartwatch has to communicate, and in order to communicate, you need to build a small antenna into the wearable devices. For example, yeah, if I would like to build a smartwatch, which doesn't look ugly. Yeah, so you know why in some case your engineering work is related to the artistic kind of thing as well, like your Google, for example, your Apple iPhone. Yeah, it looks so great, but it has to look great and it has to be able to operate, and you should be able to make calls with it. Yeah, and so if this is your goal, so you will need to find the way to make your smart watch or wearable devices small as possible. Yeah, and the biggest thing that is not easy to make small is like the antenna of the smartwatch. Yeah, so therefore you should look for a keyword like electrically small antenna. You don't have to even put a complete sentence. You can put electrically small antenna, and you can put the word wearables, something like that. Yeah, and look what you find out. Yeah, and more and more and more, your keywords will be refined. Refined means, okay, that is not the good keyword. This is not a good keyword. At the end of the day, you find out this is how they call it in the area. Yeah. Okay. So, and first of all, if you have defined your problem quite well, I would go for a very direct. Yeah. It sounds very dull. Yeah. So if your problem is to make the highest sensible sensor in order to sense the cancer cell, yeah, put the most simple keywords into that, like high sensitivity sensor, cancer cell, something like that, and something will pop up, and you will start reading some of the first papers into that. If it would be a review paper, it is also quite nice. If it is not, it is also quite okay. Yeah. Okay. The next step is that if you search with the right keyword, you will find, like, I don't know, maybe start with 10 papers. Yeah. 10 papers or 10 ways of doing things. So if you have like many papers, so one paper you can start this way or you can start that way. This paper can be, so you can do research in this way or that way. I call it paper number 1, paper number 2, yeah, and so on. And paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, paper 6. Okay, and you see there are a lot of possibilities how you would like to do your research. Yeah, and sometimes the way of paper 1 just cross over with the way of paper 2 as well. The thing that you have to make is, like, as I mentioned here, yeah, look where you are and look how you come to your goal. Yeah, and unfortunately there's not a direct way to come from where you are to the goal. Actually, it is more like you have 10 ways or 5. Yeah, and then so it will be like some of these ways going. The thing that you have to do is to somehow make your path from where you are. Let's say you choose this paper or choose that paper, and then you go toward your goal. This is your goal. I call it a convergence of idea. Yeah, and research methodology is about this. It's about convergence of ideas. Yeah, you have a lot of ideas at the beginning. You read a lot of them, find out what are the features, as Professor Nisai said, and at the end, what you would like to reach is that everything you have read converge to something, to a proposal how you would like to solve the problem. Yeah, you don't even have to start doing the research right away, but after you have read most of the techniques people have been using, then you are trying to combine techniques from one paper and then from another paper and try to reach your personal goal. Yeah, to make it a little bit better than the state of the art. As I say, only little. Yeah, only one aspect is enough. Okay. All right. Okay. So at the end, so if you like what is research methodology, it is actually like you are playing Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, you are trying to find the path, yeah, or the spurs of something. Yeah, somebody have left their path in their work, and you use their path and the clues and so on to combine and make a conclusion of that case. Yeah, you are like a detective. So you investigate all the facts, all the techniques, and try to come to the conclusion of the solution of your problems. Yeah. So again, literature review is like playing a detective. Yeah. There are evidences that you want to use. There are some evidences which are wrong and mislead you to another way. Yeah. But you have to be the detective to come to your conclusion. Okay. And the question whether it will really help or it will really works out is another step. Yeah. As you have done the literature review, you can propose some ideas without even start to do it. Yeah. Okay. But then there will be some iterations that I would like to mention afterward. Okay. Why and how to present the literature review in a paper? All of you will have to write a paper, at least a conference paper. So sometimes your supervisor do this with you, but it's not a best practice. Actually, you should be the one who drafts the paper, and your supervisor can control and then make some suggestions so that you can write the paper better. So, and I don't go through the structure of a paper, but let's say how a paper is built. So academic paper. So it will start with a title. Title means, yeah, for example, how can I still stay handsome at the age of 50? Yeah, so it's the title, and then you will come with the abstract. Okay, when you start to write a paper, so I don't know about the other supervisors, but myself as a supervisor, I would say skip the abstract. Yeah, don't have to write the abstract right now. You can write it at the end. Yeah, an abstract is like a movie trailer. Yeah? So telling the people who read this and make sure that they would like to read further. So and then it will come this section. This is the most difficult section. And this section is the introduction. Yeah, how to write an introduction. So it is basically a problem statement, as I said. Yeah, we would like to propose a new e-bike that, I don't know, can fly, whatever it is, yeah. So, and then if you finish problem statement, like we do this because the world doesn't have a drone which is driven by human energy or something like that. So you can has a bicycle that works like, as a drone. Yeah, it's a little bit exaggerated. Okay, then if you have the problem statements, what comes after this? Yeah, then it comes a big point, which is literature review. So it is hard. Yeah, the literature review. So it's a I know what kind of problem I'm trying to solve. Yeah, and then in the next section of the introduction, you try to look around in the academic world who has already offered some of the solutions or some of the nearby solution that you would like to propose. Yeah, in the literature review, you normally say, guys, number one, let's say I just imagine some name. Yeah, maybe yeah, Wu. Yeah, maybe a Chinese or Japanese or a Korean name. Wu has done this and that. Yeah, and then you stop. And then you say Lee proposed this and that. And wow, it looks interesting. And then you go ahead, So like Gomez introduce, yeah, this and that. Yeah. So you change the word a little bit so that your paper doesn't look dull. Okay. So then you keep going, yeah. Keep going. So that work has presented this, and this work has presented that, which is good for that situation. And those groups in Germany has offered with an improved efficiency in that case. And the end of the literature review, yeah, the end of the introduction is the so-called contribution. 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 So as I started to write the first of my paper, so one of the experienced researcher asked me, what is the contribution of your work? And I was like stunned a bit. What contribution? What does it mean? The contribution is the conclusion after you have done all of this literature review, saying I look around the world for people who have deal with that thing, and at the end it will come with a big but. Yeah, with one T for sure. So, but he has done this so great, but it doesn't solve my problem because in Europe the cars doesn't run like the car in Thailand, for example. Yeah, so in every literature review that you have read, from every state of the art thing that you have read, at the end you have to conclude it with the word but it doesn't solve my situation because of whatever you can think about, yeah, because it rains so much in Southeast Asia, or we have so many food delivery bicycles, something like that, yeah. So try to convince the reader that the solutions that the other people have proposed before cannot be used for general cases. Yeah, you still need to improve something in order to cope with the problems that you are facing. Yeah, and be sure there will be always problems that other people do not solve. Why? Yeah, let's pick one example. Yeah, if you have a problem because your country is the exporter, is the main exporter of rice. Yeah, it's only your country, right? It's not like Germany is the main exporter of rice. Therefore, there are always some problems that you can approach. You can provide a better solution. And the fact that the other people do not provide a solution for you is that maybe it's not interesting enough for them commercially, yeah, or they don't know the real environment where you are living. Yeah, that's the fact, yeah. So it's about providing some solutions for some of the existing problems. Okay, there is a good example about a company. So you possibly know about the ready-to-eat food that you can buy from somewhere, from a convenience store, and it's a frozen food, for example. Then you can put it in a microwave, and then it is heated up, and it's ready to eat, right? So at the beginning of this kind of industry in Thailand, so they got a problem about cooking rice. Yeah, Thai people eat a lot of rice, and yeah, what do? They bought a big rice cooking machine from Japan, yeah, to cook the rice for the ready-to-eat meal in Thailand. It turned out that rice cooker cannot cook Thai rice. It can only cook Japanese rice. And the Japanese company do not bother creating a new rice cooker for the Thai market until they realize that there's a market there. Yeah? Okay, this is an example that you always have a problem that you can solve or you can contribute. Yeah. So you make the literature review, as I said, and comes with the but. Yeah, but the proposed solution doesn't solve my problem. Okay, and in the contribution, you have to make your selling points. Yeah, like you believe you can do better in terms of, let's say, energy efficiency, cost, simple manufacturing process, things like that. Yeah, and or a sentence like, you think it is possible to do it in that way because, and try to give the reasons. Yeah, according to the literature review you have read. Yeah, okay, you think that, oh, I can combine the work from Gomez with the work from Lee, and then I can solve my problem if I combine their solutions. Yeah. And a contribution is like, if you achieve that, the benefit, what are the benefits? Like if you are from the software area, you would like to say your apps doesn't crash so often, something like that. Yeah, tell the benefits that you can get if you achieve what you are trying to propose. Okay. All right. So, and it's the last one, and it is pretty much the conclusion of doing research. Yeah, the name of the subject tells you already. It's re and search, which means you search and search and search. Yeah, until you find a better solution. Okay, so which will start as I already mentioned. First of all, you have to know your problem. Yeah, there is a problem. So come up with having a problem. And we are engineers, we are there to solve the problem. And then you start with going to search around for solutions. This is the literature review. Okay. And you can decide based on your experiment in your heads, in your thoughts. Yeah. So you think about it. So if you combine this and that, would it work? Yeah. Which is I call it a decision based on theory. So theoretically, it could work. Theoretically, it could work. Yeah. So it's one way to verify that. Another way to verify that is you try. It is a verification based on practice or experiments. So one group would prefer just thinking and using the theory, which is actually cheaper, or you can also prefer making some experiments. Yeah, you will have to spend a little bit more resources to do experiment, but both of them are good to verify your idea. Yeah, and if you think about it, if you think about the problem, if you think about the solution, and the answer is no, I cannot solve the problem using the solutions that I found in the literature, or it doesn't, if you have done some experiment and it failed. So the answer is no. If your answer is no, you come back to the original situation, like there's a problem, right? Because you cannot solve it, there's still the problem. Yeah, and then you are keeping going on within this loop until you find a yes. Yeah, if you search the literature more, yeah, if you search for some and it doesn't solve your problem, you search more until you find, that might be the one that can solve my problem, and you come up with the yes. And actually it's not a yes, it's a probably yes. Probably yes, might, possible, it could be possible, you can solve it. Yeah, and then you just verified it, and if it is yes and it solves some of your problem, the other question to ask yourself is anything else I need, for example, to graduate, yeah, to get your the reviewer agree with your publication or your supervisor is satisfied. If the answer is no, yeah, it's yes, yeah, there's something still needed. You have to go, okay, I have the next challenge, and then you go up with, you are going round with the loop again. There's another problem, make another literature review round until you get off the loop. You get off the loop, okay, you solve another problem, and if you solve that problem and then everything has been fulfilled, so nothing else is needed, so it means that you can celebrate here, okay, so you graduate with a nice published paper, okay, and that is why it is called research. So you search for a solution for one particular problem, and if there are some more problems to solve, so you search again, and you search again and again and again, until you say everything is fulfilled, and then you come to your goal, yeah? Okay, that is pretty much the way I see the research methodology. So to make it short, define your problem carefully and precisely. And second, do the literature review, but never lose the sight of your goal, of your actual goal. Yeah? Don't read a paper for the sake of reading it. Yeah? If you write a thesis, you cannot put the paper you read in the reference unless you say, you tell something about it. Like, this paper is great because that and this. You cannot just put the reference into your thesis and pretending you have read that, yeah? So, okay. Precise problem statement, always take the watching your goal. Third thing, yeah, is like read papers to converge to your goal, yeah? Don't swim in the ocean without the goal unless you get lost, okay? And then try to make it step by step and provide your own contribution. After you have read everything, tell people what is your idea to make it a little better than state of the art. That is the conclusion. Okay, that's it from my side. Okay, so if you have any questions, so let me know. Anything? Okay, very well understood, right? Okay. It's very silent here. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's about it, Ajahn Surame, for today. And thank you for your recommendation, Ajahn and Ajahn Nishai. So probably have to tell students to stay tuned. So they would know the announcement for the next live class, because most of the class taught by Dr. Rasata will be converted to video, and possibly by Dr. Santiri as well. So the next live class should be announced via email and probably on Canvas. So students, please stay tuned for that. And also maybe one more very important announcement. So for students who are still on the IoT class, maybe this afternoon we have a live class in my house and to give more detail about the expectation of the course. We have reconsidered, so hopefully there is some optimization to help you guys. And also the workshop. Ajahn Thiakon, you want to have a quick announcement for them, please?
Yes, that's right. So we will meet this afternoon at 1, and we will start with the communications about our expectation, what we actually want you to do in the project. what is the core requirement, and that will follow by the workshop by Dr. Sayot.
Okay.
So one question. Even though there's no question during my session, but I'm pretty much sure that the students would like to have my slide. Is that confirmed?
I would think so, Ajahn. You don't need to ask.
Okay. All right. So then so we will agree later on what is the link to download the slide. So but we will let you know, right, the students. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Possibly, you can. I think we can pass to Dr. Rashata. He can upload to Canvas, and yeah, if you like, maybe he can email or something as well.
Okay, I will do it. So.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
By the way, may I add some words on maybe it is just only related to the DAD scholar. We can end the lecture first, and I would ask the DAD scholar to remain in the room for the further discussion, please.
So I think that there's nothing else for this morning class already. Just to make sure if you're enrolled to IoT, just join the link for IoT class. Yes, 1 o'clock, นะคะอาจารย์โอม. So yeah, not just more detail about the course. Then you will have a workshop on the practical platform, IoT platform that Dr. Sayot has actually implemented in his research work. Could be one of the very good guidance for you to start off with. Yeah. หมดแล้วค่ะอาจารย์
So okay, then I would like to ask the other students who are not DAD scholar to leave the room, and the others should remain. And I would ask the other lecturers to stay a bit with me to talk about the procedures or the way that we would do about the applications to Arcan and so on, because there was a question, and I would like to make it uniform in the same way. Yeah, please.
I think we can continue ค่ะอาจารย์ So those who are not there you feel free to leave and have your lunch. If you are there, students, please stay on. It's important to you.
All right. I believe I have seek out the people who are not DAD scholar already. So let me start in this way. Someone have asked me already about the topics for the thesis or research in Aachen, and asked about whether it is allowed to contact the advisors in Aachen. First of all, I would like to say that you are not now accepted as the students in Aachen now. Normally, the topics, those topics which are published on the website, they are open for all people in ABTH Aachen as well. Normally, those topics must be already selected or should be already got by the others students in Aachen already. Normally, you will get, if you will be accepted to be a student in Aachen, to go to Aachen, you will get a new, let's say, redesigned research topic. Not really the actual one that you have seen on the internet, but it will give you the idea or the direction where to go. Because you should imagine that those topics must be selected by someone now who can do the research topic or in the past already. So I would say that for selecting the topics to be done in the research methodology, you can use those topics as a guideline and as the practice to run the research methodology class. Okay, you got my point? And another application to the institute in Aachen must be done with your supervisor together later on. Not later on much, but maybe in the next month and so on. But you should assume that you are not linked now to the supervisors in Aachen. We just let you choose those topics as a guideline so that you are very close to the topics that you will be doing in the next semester. But there is no necessity, or actually you should not bother them by sending a letter to ask anything, because it is not established now whether you are accepted or ready to work with them later on. Okay? Is there any question?
Maybe just to elaborate on that a little bit, and the point why we are saying this is because we don't want you guys to simply get the topic and dive yourself into that very specific and technical thing just yet. So we want you to get the guidelines. However, trying to understand the basic of that coverage rather than just that particular topic. So you will start off easier than just simply getting very specific thing, because you probably realize already if you jump into the topic right away, the paper that is related to that or published by the professor is going to be very, very technical, and you're going to get the very daunting feeling about it. So that is not what we want you to be. We discussed about this, so we want you to just get the idea of what you want to do related to those possibly, but then talk to your advisor and trying to draw yourself back a little bit, get your basics understanding about those things around it first, and do the assignment for the research methodology based on those approach rather than jump into specific maths and stuff like that. So this is ใช่ไหมคะอาจารย์นิสัย this is what we want you to let you understand. So don't worry about understanding professor's thing just right now.
Yes. Yes, and this is one part of the research methodology, and the other part is the interfacing to the RWTH Aachen. The procedure of how to interfacing with RWTH Aachen is now you are not accepted to be their students now. They will not have the direct contact with you. But for let's say the next month or next couple of months, we will try to establish or try to select the topics for you, and of course try to do the selection as well for the student to go to Aachen. According to your performance and so on, this will be established later who are eligible to go to Aachen and so on. Yeah, and this will be done at the same time together with your supervisors. Please contact your supervisors or coordinators about the process, how to approach RWTH Aachen supervisor and so on. But you should not write an email directly to them and ask about the topics, so they will be in surprise while you ask them the topics which are limited just only for the RWTH Aachen University over there. Yeah. Okay. One of the origin of this discussion come from Hafsa Mutesa. Yeah. Did I answer your question in the email? Hafsa, do you have questions?
Yes, Professor, it's clear now. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, so since this question is related or relevant to the other, so I take this opportunity to clarify this understanding so that everyone will proceed in the same direction. Okay, so that we do from my side. So thank you very much. I bother your time just for this. Thank you very much. Bye then.
Okay, thank you. So see some of you or most of you in IoT with Dr. Siakon and Dr. Yasawalai. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.